Welcome back to another episode of SPAR with your brothers. I am your host, King Peeps. Definitely glad to have you with us in another episode of SPAR with your brothers, where we cover sports, politics, and religion. We couldn't be here definitely without the guys next to me, to my right and my left. Starting off with Coach O. What's going on, man?
Feeling good, feeling great. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm always good. We got Jay Blaze in the building.
What's good is I'm understood in the hood, and you don't think it's for joining SPAR, but enough with the filler, time with the bars. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Castle King holding it down.
What
as
up?
always.
Feeling blessed, feeling highly favored. Que lo que mi gente? What's good, people?
Hey, we appreciate you guys tuning back in. Like I said, another episode. Have an interesting show for you guys tonight, so we're going to get directly into it. Yeah. If you have any questions, as I always say, about anything that you see or any questions or topic that we talk about, definitely be sure to post them. We're going to have the link with the description of all the other platforms that we're at. You can contact us there. If you have any questions, we'll be sure to answer them next week. How you guys feeling today?
Motivated, baby.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
There'll be two of me walking around here, and of course, it's always a dangerous thing.
Okay. Getting into the sports portion of the segment today. You know, we got a lot going on as always. I was reading up. We got the situation with Spike Lee being, some people say kicked out, some people say escorted out, the Staples Center.
Right, Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
Even better.
Thank you.
All
Even
about
better.
it.
Okay, so
The Mecca, baby, the Mecca.
it is the Mecca. So it was kind of weird to me, you know, and I know you guys may have your opinion on it. My mindset, I'm more so in favor with his understanding that he's been doing this over 20-something years. This is a norm by now. I'm sure everybody working in the building, whether on security, should already expect that he's going to be one of the guys that uses the interest that he uses. You know, I'm pretty sure other celebrities do the same thing as well. You know, you got some loyal fans, and he's one of them. So with him being upset that he was kind of asked to kind of go the other way, the regular interest, I think it was like off to me. What did you think about that?
So, I mean, unfortunately, this is just another long list of failings by the New York Knicks organization.
Okay.
Tread lightly, my brother.
An
Tread lightly.
organization that is worth $4 billion.
Okay.
Only the Dallas Cowboys are worth more.
That means we're
and
awesome.
They continue to be, I hate to use this word, a disgrace to the game of basketball.
Wow.
You think of basketball as a mecca in New York, and the Knicks have let Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving go to the team down the street in Brooklyn. So I actually feel bad for Spike Lee. If you think about what that man means to that franchise,
It's
sitting
huge.
courtside, players have their best games because they're performing for Spike. They're performing for one of the largest audience in the NBA. And to have the organization make this I almost said a bad word, but make this foul. What I meant to say is foul for the organization. It's just a long list and a line of mess ups by this organization. And, you know, as an Orlando Magic fan, I'm laughing.
It's tough. Like you just said, you definitely have like the fans who are dedicated towards the different teams. As you guys probably know, you look at the Lakers and you think of what's his name?
Kobe.
No,
LeBron,
not Kobe.
LeBron.
Jack Nicholson. Nicholson. He's always sitting there, got his glasses on. He's into the game. You know, they say Drake is the same way with his
Toronto.
team,
Yep.
with Toronto. So it is a little interesting. Well, you guys got anything you want to say about that?
What?
Do you feel as if, you know, it's just he should have just been going along with what the rules were?
Well, Coach
I don't
was
know.
right about
There's a
two
lot.
things. Number one, Orlando is tragic. And number two, the Knicks are a piece of crap. But I digress.
That was your takeaway.
That's the takeaway. Well,
Gotcha.
my real takeaway is that, you know, I think they could have handled the situation with Spike Lee a little better, but Spike Lee also showed me another side. Spike Lee made a fair amount of money of showing this country how disconnected they are to certain cultures and how they've been treating certain cultures the wrong way. And in a moment where he could have kind of ingratiated part of that when he was communicating, I don't think he had to go on television. He just showed how elite he is. You can't go through the employee interest. You have to go through the VIP entry. It's not like he had to go in with the regular people. You have to go through the VIP interest. And for some reason, of course, we know he's been a member since Christ walked on water. We know that. We know that he's probably the most interesting thing inside the building since the team is a piece of crap. However, he just showed how elite he is. He's complaining because someone is finally asking him to do what he's supposed to do. And it's a shame. And it's a degradation to his personality. look, Spike, you made a lot of money. You're actually spiking the football in some regular people's faces who would love to have the opportunity to just go through the regular exit because those tickets are quite expensive. Shout out to the expensive seats for the Knicks. But I'm actually disappointed the way he was treated, to be honest. So I'm Simon Coachell, but I was even more disappointed how aloof and how disconnected he are with a people group that he's always saying being talked down to, but he feels like exceptions should be made for him. So he doesn't really believe in access. He doesn't believe in equality either.
He mentioned it was an event that happened, I guess, like a little bit before that. Kill a Mockingbird's been happening actually there, or a different event, and there was no issues there. So I don't know. His mindset was that if there were some changes in the rules, it wasn't communicated. It's just more so this exact moment, you guys are bringing this up on him almost in the act of doing what he normally does.
Yeah.
Castle King, what you got to say?
I mean, what are we talking about here, fellas? What are we talking about? We're talking about rich people problems. Rich people problems.
Talk that stuff.
Okay, this is someone who's just entitled. And Spike, I love you. I'm a Knick fan. We love you there, but it's entitlement, man. I mean, he's been going through for more than 3 decades through the same entrance, an employee entrance. You go employee entrance anywhere else, you're going to have an issue.
I'm going to jail.
They've been telling him, go around where everyone else, all the other superstars, a VIP. And he still chooses to go in his own way. And when they tell him, right, hey, you cannot go here anymore, Spike, you're going to make a big scene about it and talking about it, that you're going to put it behind my back like Oakley.
Yeah,
I mean, now you're trying to bring it, and you're trying to bring a whole other scam. And then even after that, during the game, at halftime, Dolan goes over there, which again, I'm not a fan of Dolan in no sense, but Dolan still went over there. They talked about it and they shook hands. And what does Spike Lee do?
You want to talk about
Hold on. What does Spike Lee do? What does Spike Lee do? He calls ESPN, he calls Stephen A. Smith, and then he goes on and makes this big old rant. And he said that they weren't told that never happened. And what did the New York people do? Their New York Knicks do? They put a picture of him and Dolan shaking hands at halftime. So who's lying here?
I'm a victim.
Okay.
I'm a victim.
So he's playing the victim role. He's playing entitlement. He shook the man's hand at half court, and then you're going to try to make a whole scene about yourself, talking about you. And if he's a real fan, how are you going to be dissing the team? Oh, we haven't won since whatever. So you're dissing the own team that you're supposed to be supporting. And then you're going to be complaining that you ain't going to come no more. You're rich entitlement. That's up to you. I spent $10 million. That's your bad, homie. Don't spend the bread.
Question.
He needs to be Mars. You need to play Mars like in your movie and go to Brooklyn.
Woo.
Oh, man.
Talk that.
Do
Talk
you
heavy.
guys
Go
think
be a net.
there's any space for like grandfather fans?
And
Obviously, we
listen,
must talk about rich fans.
there's loyalty.
You got some
If
people
you're
that
loyal,
think
you're gonna be
so.
loyal.
Yeah.
If you're getting loyal, you're gonna play loyalty.
Well, for a person that talks
Hashtag
about
loyalty.
equality and access for everybody, it's pretty elitist for him to feel like he can do something that everybody can't do.
He need to do the
I'm just
right
saying, as
thing
a
and just
person
sit down
who-
as a
Right thing,
fan.
like
Do the
Spike
right
Lee.
thing, Spike Lee.
He's got to have it.
And by the way, dye your
come
hair
on.
black.
Okay. My last piece on this is no. Spike Lee is an unofficial employee. Like Drake is an unofficial ambassador for the Toronto Raptors. New York Knicks game without Spike Lee doesn't have the same pizzazz. So he's been going in that same
I beg
entrance.
to
If you
differ.
listen to him, he was talking about To Kill a Mockingbird. They showed 18,000 students. He goes in the same entrance to keep people away from him. And yes, he is,
Oh,
We're talking about New York. We're talking about where all the famous people are in the world. So VIP there, every famous person goes through there. All stars and actors and football players, all people who
He's
got
better
more
than
current celebrity than he does.
sometimes you just want to go to the game and enjoy the game and not have to be.
so he's better than everyone.
So does he get a paycheck from Madison Square Garden? Because
No.
it says
He actually
employee.
pays-
It says
he
employee
actually
entrance.
pays
Drake actually-
$3,000
So does
per
all
seat.
the other VIPs that are there. It says employee
Drake-
entrance.
Drake actually has a title
Employee
from the team.
entrance.
The team is
If
made
you don't
him
get a
ambassador.
paycheck from Madison Square Garden, you go to the VIP.
This is my thing. I feel like this. At the end of the day, with everything that he's done, I get that he's been a loyal fan. If it wasn't communicated to him, if it wasn't an
It
event
was-
that just happened,
There's reports saying it was
I'm just
multiple.
huge on communication. So
Yeah.
if you was told, well then, hey, somebody communicate this to you.
Facts.
I get being upset if this is a, hey, you're gonna communicate while I'm already in the elevator.
Correct.
But this is like well, bro, we already here. You could have told me this before, or you were the same guy that let me in the other day.
Yeah.
So it's like this is a 25-year process.
Correct.
So
It's an employee entrance. If you go down to a one-way street, do you need to be told multiple times that it's a one-way street, or is that sign significant
I
enough?
think
to
but
Spike
if
will have
somebody
to
let
die.
you do that for 25-something years,
Hey,
Correct.
things change.
It's-
Things
Well,
change.
correct. So all I'm
Things
saying
change.
is
when
There's,
they
there's rules
change-
to this.
correct. When they change, just communicate.
But they've
That's all
been
I'm saying.
told.
Well, I
He's
think
been
we all
told
have
multiple
to
times.
agree
according
to
that.
disagree on this, and we'll
Knicks
just
for
wait
the
to see
win.
what happens.
Let us know what
If
you
you're gonna be
guys
a fan,
think.
be a
If
fan.
you guys agree, if you disagree, do you think that it was just a communicational issue? Do you think that he's been over entitled. So you guys let us know. Leave comments down below. We'll be sure to answer those questions.
Is he whack or did he hijack? Sorry to cut you off. But I think
Y'all down there jockeying for tickets, man.
he's whack. Stay tuned for the next episode, guys. Thank you guys for tuning back in with us. We're getting directly into our second topic of today, getting directly into the political portion. Flavor Flav and Chuck D. We have an issue there. He's pretty much being kicked out of Public Enemy, you know. And as you guys know, Public Enemy is for the most part Chuck D and Flavor Flav.
Facts.
You know, so it's a little conversation about whether or not the Bernie comments pretty much kind of you know, kick things off. There's a lot of different discussions about that. What do you guys think about that? Have you heard about the situation?
Yeah, I have, and as a Public Enemy fan from
Okay.
like literally day one, kind of grew up with them, and they were the voice of the country, as far as conscious movement. They were the voice for the Black community, empowerment, and strength. And Public Enemy has now become the Public Enemy for Black people. And I'm going to explain why. And I'm not taking Flavor Flav's side. I'm taking the side of allowing ourselves to be prostituted and used. What do you mean? What other people group put on concerts as opposed to having a politician sit down and give them ideas or proposals for what they're going to do for the community? Those are some of the things they used to talk about. Those are some of the things they used to fight for. And unlike the other rappers in their time frames, they didn't sell their souls to the devil to make a lot of money. But apparently they'll sell their souls to Bernie, the socialist, #communist, Sanders, for a concert. He didn't bring in, he has not, nor has he currently, and nor will he ever have policies that's going to specifically help the people that he's trying to get, the Black community. He's once again using people. He still, it's just, to me, it's a disappointment, especially in the turn of someone like Flavor Flav, along with Professor Griff, the Minister of Information, and some of the other people that's in that group. But it's just so disappointing to see politics and the fact that the person doesn't have any, they think so little of you that they think they can get your vote by having your favorite musician come out there and play music instead of giving you life-changing opportunities in your opportunity zones or in your community. And it's disturbing that Chuck D, I know he said some other stuff, but it's whatever, that Chuck D will be a coward and pick out someone like Flavor Flav. And I no longer see them as a public enemy as against the people they were fighting against. I see them as a public enemy to the Black community, which I'm a part of.
Castle King, what's your thoughts on that? I know you know, Blaze, you said some powerful stuff there, and I definitely get, you know, when you do have, you know, that opportunity, you would think that, you know, would be led with obviously wanting to get more information, obviously to better your community, to better just yourself in general, as opposed to promoting a concert. Now I get like if the concert was to bring people out, to get people's attention, and it's follow up, you know what I mean, with a political stance. But yeah, I understand that.
I mean, I don't know, man. Public Enemy was my group. I mean, just as Jay Blaze is talking about, these were people who were the next level of when Martin Luther King, Dr. King, and that there was no other voice for the Black community, that he took over, that he's not going to be doing the marches. He said that we're going to take it by force, by storm, standing up as a community. And then he becomes the public enemy. He becomes his own community's enemy. And to kick out your own person who's with you, Flavor Flav, who's part of the group regardless, and all he was saying, he didn't want his likeness out there. In a legality standpoint, you have to ask permission before you put my face out there.
True.
And then on top of that, you're not telling me that it's pro bono, that we're getting it for free, that you're putting my face out there for free when there's money somewhere around that little pocket. Somebody's getting paid. There's some kind of cahoots in there in the works, regardless or not. You still got to let me know regardless. And for him to just express himself that he doesn't want his likeness out there and you're going to kick him out the group, what is a politics? What are you expressing to your Black community of why you're standing behind Bernie Sanders? What is he doing that he should be out there and their name should be used in that likeness? I mean, I think that's cowardice to take out your own castmate, bandmate for over 35 years, regardless of what he's going through. And for you to air out your man's business, that's some sucker moves. Okay, you're airing him out regardless. You're supposed to be there to stand by your brother regardless of what he's going through. And yes, he sued him out there, but I'm pretty sure there's behind the business scenes about that. But for you to do it, even to say it publicly, shows yellow spine stuff to me.
And I definitely heard about that. It's like we see it as the situation with Bernie, but I guess it is a bigger, behind the scenes issue
I mean, why
you know,
support
with
him? There's
Chuck D.
no, as Jay Blaze was saying, there's nothing that Bernie Sanders said that he's addressing to the community. As he said, they're going to have people just do concerts rather than setting what are we going to do for the black community.
At the end of the day, yeah.
I don't want to go to concert and dance.
Yeah, you can pretty much download the the music.
I
and
want to
listen
start my
at the house if
business.
you need to. Yeah. Coach O, I hear you over here, man.
Huffing and
I
puffing.
sense you got a lot going on. I can see your face. You're definitely frustrated about some stuff that you heard. What does that look like?
I mean, I'm frustrated with the situation for a whole different set of reasons than these two gentlemen. First, let's talk about a little bit about Public Enemy. 1985, absolutely, they were the voice of black consciousness for the 80s. I remember my parents not letting us listen to it. My older brother had to sneak in albums of Public Enemy from New York down to us. So for me, it does have that group has a special place. Terminator X, the SW1s, Professor Griff, Flavor Flav with the Clock. He was the first, an original hype man for hip hop music. So we just need to look at that group and look at them in that space. What's happened since then? If you want to talk about the flavor of love, if you want to talk about the LeBron James commercials, they've made some money off of their success, and they still kept a level of consciousness. Where they are now, getting into this political arena, is always going to draw fans and backlash. Again, full disclosure, I am not a Sanders supporter.
Okay.
So I'm not within that camp. But like Kid Rock does for our current occupant of the White House, there is a long tradition of musical acts performing at rallies, concerts to engage the general public.
Okay.
Right now, Sanders is looking to, find voices within the black community that are supportive of his actions and his ideology. His democratic socialist platform is a benefit to all people, which, back to my thing of equality, I'm all for. So there's not that I'm not a big supporter of his, but I don't have any beef with him like some of the other folks on this panel.
Socialist.
That being said, the dispute between Chuck D and Flavor Flav should have stayed in-house. Unfortunately, became a public debacle. And what it really shows is, we should all get a contract before, but it really shows is how two people can grow apart, and their ideas can grow apart as far as for the direction of the group. I personally would have kicked Flavor Flav out a long time ago because I thought he was the ultimate sellout in doing these shows and going on VH1 every chance he could. He actually diminished what the group stood for at a point in time, but I think because he was a public figure, they kept him in. So I personally don't have a problem with this move that Chuck did, because I think ultimately what the group is getting back to is their social justice roots, should I say, and whether or not you agree with their cause or not, at least you know that they stand for something instead of falling for anything.
Well, the reason why I didn't associate Flavor Flav with them, because remember, he did 911 as a joke. He actually literally had his own. Hit. He struck out his own, just like Chuck D did certain things on his own. And the rest of the other people, you can look at Professor Griff right now. He's all over YouTube, and people call him a conspiracy theorist. The problem I have is you mentioned Kid Rock. Is Kid Rock
in the White House? Yes.
Is he in a group that's suffering, or he's in a group that's entitled? That's a rhetorical question he needs to answer. So he doesn't need to go demand and ask for certain things. And the only thing socialism does, make sure everyone is equally poor at the bottom. It has never worked in any country on the face of the earth. Putting the word democratic in front of it is not going to make it work. And
So
again, my beef is that you're giving Bernie Sanders air time for black people when he doesn't have a single policy directed at black people. We look at the gays, the LGBTQ, the little people. They have people. He even have policies for illegal immigrants so they can get free health care and so they can get free education. But what does he have something specifically outlined for black people? He has it for the gay community. He has it for all. He has it for women, but he doesn't have something specific. You can't put socialism over everybody because he has separate policies that he is for. But DACA people, also for Dreamers, which actually are the black people. Martin Luther King said it first, and we were doing it for hundreds of years. But he has all these things for other people. But when it's black people, we just put them all under socialism. They're cowards.
So
and if I see Chuck D, I'm going to fight him.
And legality, you can't, even for Flavor Flav, he defamed him. He said that he was on drugs, and that's why he's getting him out. He's been clean for over 10 years, so.
Yeah.
Are you taking his test at the dollar store?
Yeah.
The man's been proven. He was on the show.
Well, let's say.
How do you know
Okay,
how do you know
first of all,
he's high?
if you need to see Bernie Sanders, why don't you go to a website and read and see all his empowerment zones that he's planned?
Can you name one thing he's done for black people?
So let's just talk.
Can you name one thing he's done for black people?
What legislation he has for black people specifically?
About reparations?
Well, guys, listen.
We'll have to visit this.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a
pretty
different
much,
episode.
We agree to
The
disagree.
biggest thing is this. What I would say is this. If there was an issue between them two, they should have dealt with it outside of the media. You know, they got relationships. Obviously, they've been in a group for a long time. I'm sure, you know, they can communicate. They got each other's phone number. Whatever the situation is, at the end of the day, it's not good. It's not good, period. It's not good for the group. It's not good for them in their own, you know, personal lives. I think they should just handle it like that. But now, obviously, this is just the what happens when you get bad communication.
Yep.
And things go left and right. So that's it. But you guys let us know what you think about the whole matter. You know, are you for, you know, him being kicked out of the group? Do you think that, you know, it's going to make a difference? Let us know. Let us know what you think. Obviously, we feel differently about it, but we're definitely eager to hear what your mindset is about that issue. So. Thank you guys for tuning in and sticking around. We are into our last topic of today, closing off with the religion portion. Have a quick question for you guys. We all celebrate with religious freedoms. It's a benefit of being here in America. Do you feel as though religious freedoms are still under attack?
I think so. I mean, I think it's something that it's a constant attack on a regular. I think now it's just being pushed more. I mean, there's atheist groups out there that if there's anything that a religious group is doing, they're having them take it down because they want to be the opposing force at that point in time. You can't say prayers in classrooms. There's different persecutions out there. I absolutely think that that's something that's happened more and more on a regular basis, and even more so today.
And it's tough because, like, definitely, like I said, I'm talking about here in America, but outside of America, we know there's a whole lot of different things going on. We got some different cases happening here in America. Some of them are less drastic. I feel like, you know, it's still an attack in itself, but there's a lot of different things going on. Coach O, what's your thoughts on it?
I'm going to say that's a negative, Ghost Rider, and I say that.
What's a negative?
That there are no impunity, or our religious freedoms are not impugned in this country. We live in what's called a pluralistic society. Our founding fathers were very discreet in making sure there was a separation of church and state, not only to keep religion out of the state, but also to keep the state out of religion. And those two things allow me to go and worship wherever I choose to on Sunday morning and not have to worry about my place of employment on Monday morning. And that is the beauty of America. If you go into any other country, that could be a threat to your livelihood, a threat to your personal life. And in 2016, there was something like over 90,000 Christians that were murdered outside the United States just for practicing their faith. So this false narrative that a lot of evangelicals keep trying to pump, oh, we can't bake cakes, we can't do this, that is nothing compared to what the people of Christ suffered back in the day, and it's nothing compared to what's going on.
But we're not comparing them. What I'm saying is they exist. So they exist on different levels, but I think they're all still under the same.
As you were stating with the gentleman with the cake, he had his own religious choice to not bake a cake, and what happened? He got sued. Okay, so is that not infringing on his religious choice and religious belief? It absolutely is. He had to go to court and Supreme Court at that for them to decide to whether he was allowed to do enjoy his freedom of not baking the cake. I can say no if I want to, and you can find another cake maker if you wanted to. But that's not what was happening. They want you to change your standards, your religion, and your beliefs to make it equal to whatever they believe in. Well, and we're going to sue you if you don't like it, and you're going to get. Go ahead.
Well, I'll let Jay Blaze say.
Well, I mean, first of all, we have to get the correct understanding of separation of church and state. It's one of the things we did when I guess we can't really call it we, but this country of England is England. When you were born, you belonged to a church.
Correct.
That's what it actually meant. It didn't mean that the church couldn't ask certain things of the government, and the government couldn't ask certain things for the church. But the reality is when you look at this perspective is that I think there's not just Christianity, but just believers in general, whether you're Islam or whatever you're practicing, there is an attack. Now, persecution is based on pain level. So some people can take more pains than other. My significant other, I'm not going to give her a name because I don't know if she wants to be on the internet yet or not. When she had my sons, She did not take any type of medicine. All she had was ice and bit down on the towel.
Soldier.
And my sons were all 8 pounds plus, right? Even the older ones. So pain tolerance, if you're going to use that to separate who feels persecuted or not, then you can say, well, that's not enough. But some people can't handle that type of pressure. Some people need medication. Some people need to be completely out of it to have their child. And so there's levels of pressure. There's a financial pressure that was put on a man that had to defend himself over and over, all the way up to the Supreme Court. You're not going to have a lawyer doing a pro bono for you. So for them to go to places like cemeteries of fallen soldiers and see one cross and go, I want that cross down, or go to a park. These are things that has happened.
That is not true.
These are
That is
things
happening.
I'll show you.
These are false narratives that you.
I didn't cut you off. You talked twice before I talked once. Going to a park bench that had scripture on it. We want that taken down.
Yes.
That's right. Okay, well, now you're putting your religion, which is atheism. Atheism is a religion, whether you want to believe it or not, above Christianity. So you will say there was an attack because you're saying these things are happening. Just like people don't want me to preach against sexual immorality. If I'm an evangelist in my church, that's my job to talk about all immoralities. If I talk about a certain sexual immorality, now I'm going to be attacked as a bigoted hater and I should lose my status because I'm doing that. What is that? That's an attack. That's an attack, right? I separate the church from the state, render unto Caesar that belongs to Caesar, and render unto God what belongs to God. And when I'm in the house of the Lord and I'm preaching the gospel, then you should not be surprised you're hearing the Bible in church. Just like I would not go to a pride rally and be surprised if I hear their doctrine, and they're perfectly fine to do it. And whatever you want to do, if you want to be a Satanist, if I walk into your building, I shouldn't be offended. I should expect to see that. So when you hear a pastor preaching in the church, you should expect him to hear the word.
That's what you're there for. Castle King, I see you on the end.
I mean, it's even just as you were saying. I mean, if an atheist has a problem with someone either praying or doing whatever, you're an atheist. You shouldn't have any belief in that anyway. That's not your belief, so that shouldn't bother you. Yes. I mean, that's just like Jay Blaze said. If you're going to different type of rally specific for what that agenda is at that time, that's an expectation of what I expect to see. Yeah. You know, that's what I'm going to see out there. If I don't want to be there, do not be there.
So
that's where freedom comes in. You have the freedom to do whatever you want, and you don't have to be there. That's freedom.
You can do whatever you like.
So there's a big difference between the private and the public square. Unfortunately, everyone that receives tax benefits are in the public square. I mean, to be inclusive for every
not
person.
in the church.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you said, render under Caesar's what is Caesar's. If churches will want to walk away from their tax benefit, then they can say whatever they want. But the fact is that they don't.
There you go.
Because
there's proof.
So what is a parade?
Hold on. Let him do his confession.
Money is your God. And once you start to admit that money is your God and the most important thing to you, you start to realize that you can start to separate the two things.
Folks, we just had a confession. You see how he wants the government to intrude on the church inside of their household and sanctuary to stop them from preaching the gospel. We want to try and defund them. But if I say defund Planned Parenthood, I got people everywhere, and they are the biggest killers in the country.
If there's a parade of LGBT or anything like that, is that not using government funds?
It's a public space.
Okay, well, so isn't that a different agenda?
Police officers.
If they have a parade, isn't that
anyone can go to the city and say, we're going to have a parade for this.
But what if I don't want it to happen?
So why don't we change the dollar bill? It says in God we trust. Why don't we?
I believe it should be off.
Well, I got a question.
Okay, but then so you're attacking someone's.
How is that attacking?
He's part of it.
So my first question, just to start off, just to get some clarity, do you believe that it just comes down to just the level of pain, almost as if what Jay Blaze said?
Obviously, there's some very fragile people on this side that their whole faith is shaken if it doesn't have it on their money. But since that is their God, then I don't have a problem with it. The reality is this: we live in a pluralistic society. If our society was dominated by people of Islam, if our society was dominated by people of the Jewish faith, our money would say something completely different.
Coach, you learned
the
a new
reality
word,
is
pluralistic.
that because they're in power and they don't want to lose that power, they're not going to give it up, just like their emperor-in-chief.
Let me explain something to you. We're in a country of what? It's called freedom. I fought for this freedom. So if I choose, shots right. Hey, learn it. So if I did it for a reason, it's because if I want to go to church, if I want my kids to be in school and praying, they should be able to pray there. I didn't say for the church, for the school to instill Bibles or anything different if they want to, but if they want to pray or do something, that's on their own. It's a free country. So that freedom, what's the difference from freedom of speech? We're practicing freedom of speech as we are now. So the difference of that, I can practice freedom of religion. That's also just like the freedom to bear arms. These are all rights that we have for.
Yeah,
All right,
at
so
the
that's
end
it. So
of
you
the
should be
day,
able to practice them all.
I'm gonna take that same stance. I feel as if there's been people who paved the way, and what
Facts.
America is supposed to have been built on
Yes.
is just that freedom. As individuals to practice freely what you believe in. Now, definitely, I don't want my freedom to infringe on whatever yours are. And at the end of the day, when those different things happen, well, obviously, we're believers, so we do have a task at hand.
Don't say
do
we
have
now. Be careful.
We do have a goal at hand, but at the end of the day, if I'm in a workplace and somebody comes in my workplace, trying to dictate different things, I do have a problem.
Right.
Whether there's a you changing the picture on the wall or taking down, however small the incident is, it's an issue. So that's my thoughts on it. I know Coach O.
No.
if
Well,
you
he just
feel
keep
strongly
talking.
about it,
I did want to
and we
address
all go-
one little thing. I know we run out of time here.
We'll agree on
But you got to stop saying the church is about the money where everybody else in the country is getting money from the government. So, I mean, they're also doing stuff for people and everybody else is not. You don't have to name call the atheists are attacking a country. If you read the manifest about this country, we know that all types of people came over here.
Correct.
So go read the manifest.
Correct.
All right, good.
Okay, so can I say one thing?
ahead, go ahead.
There's a false narrative that says children cannot pray in school. I grew up in high school and I prayed every day. All right, I was a part of Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We
Your
met
kids
at the
can't do it
fold
now, though.
Before every game,
You in high school last year?
I prayed in front of my game.
What about right now?
If you choose not, you can pray at any
You've
point
been
in
out of
time.
high school
Anyone
a
can
long
close
time.
their eyes and pray at any point
No,
in
they
time.
can't.
They do
They
not
can't
have
do that.
public prayer.
They cannot do
Okay,
that.
you cannot have public prayer because I don't want my
You act
children
like you
praying
just
to Allah.
graduated. You act like you just graduated.
Okay, well, I didn't
That's
go-
something we're
Old
going to
as
research
sand.
for you guys.
Okay.
I do feel as if things are changing. Let us know what you think.
20 years ago,
Next
30
time,
years
catch us.
ago, in
Spar
my
with your brothers.
time,
We out.
My children pray in school.
No,
They
you
don't.
don't.
Yes, they do.
they don't.
Lying.
They do.
They
pray.
do.
Lying.
They do not.
He's lying.
They
He's
do
They
pray in-
don't.